Happy Thursday. Oh, it's Tuesday. Gotcha. Mind your P's and Q's here. Welcome in. Hope you are all having a fantastic holiday season. Merry Christmas. And of course, Happy New Year. We got a ton to talk about tonight. Jeff's going to be joining me in a little bit. You got to deal with me by myself for a little while. Sorry for the extra long run of the buffer, but I don't usually do all the production stuff in the background. So I'm on my own tonight for a while, for at least half an hour. Jeff will jump in here in a little bit. So if you get tired of me talking, just hang on. Jeff will be here. Let's check the chat. Folks are already in here. Kyle, thank you for reposting the stream. You the real MVP, sir. J-Rock, welcome in. Kat, always faithful, always true. Keith, Roll Tide. Lance, how you doing, buddy? Looking forward to you being extra spicy tonight in the chat. Who was first? Kayla was first again. You guys are going to have to get your act together. Kayla's toasting you. It's real simple. Look, you guys can just you can comment on the live when it posts. You don't have to wait till we go live. So let's see who can beat her next week. Holidays are definitely messing with the show times. We didn't want to do our regular live on Thursday because obviously that's New Year's Day. There's going to be a ton of bowl games on. We will do a post-game reaction show. I promise. Kyle, you are just resharing the crap out of this stream. I appreciate you, buddy. Keep going. Everybody be like Kyle and repost, share, tweet, leave a like, do all the things. If you're not watching this live, if you're watching this after the fact, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. Welcome into Waaaay Offsides, your favorite source for all things Alabama. That's Way with 4 A's. 3's not enough, 5's too many. 4, just like in the word Alabama. It's Rose Bowl week, folks. In less than 48 hours, Alabama will take on the number 1 team in the college football playoff, the Indiana Hoosiers, with their Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in the Rose Bowl. They're calling for some rain. Mr. James Spann, for those of you not in Alabama, not from Alabama, you don't know much about James Spann, but James Spann is basically king of Alabama. He has said that there is a chance that the rain may dissipate before kickoff. So fingers crossed, whoever's out there sacrificing chickens, keep it up. You're doing good work. So, he's coming. He's coming. He's in the chat, so he can see this for sure. That's crazy. Stick on him powder. Oh, golly, man. This is why I love doing this with you guys, because you're hilarious. Oh, man. All right. Let's start off. We're going to start off hot. I hope you guys like the Rose Bowl thing we've got going off here. Of course, we're going to talk about this Rose Bowl game here in a little bit. But first, we got some portal updates for you. And thank goodness not many of them are negative in terms of Alabama. Jay Bake, what's going on? Welcome in. If you guys haven't heard the news, the Barn's having a rough time. And normally, I hate Auburn. I do. But I don't want to see a program decimated during a coaching change. However, the Barn was relentless when Nick Saban retired. So screw them. on this one. They've lost basically their entire roster. That daunted 2024 recruiting class that they had, or 2025 recruiting class that they had, the Freeze Five, all those things, they're all gone. They're all gone, including five-star wide receiver Cam Coleman, who a lot of you think is going to wind up at Alabama. I think he could end up at Alabama. I think Alabama's definitely in play, but I'm not sold on it. And now five-star, who was supposed to be quarterback of the future, Deuce Knight. Now, Keith kind of beat me to the punch in the chat. Yes, some of this is because of coaching changes and things like that, but I do think Coach Galesh is kind of cleaning house a little bit. I don't know. I think so. I think that he's kind of changing the way they're handling their NIL. It's more of a, you got to earn your money type thing. We're just not going to pay you for no reason. And some guys are dipping. So now on the other side of that, we don't need a wide receiver. We need trenches and linebackers first. Sure we do, man. Sure we do. Oh yeah, there was something I wanted to touch on. I got a message this week from some of you, and you were like, "Hey man, what's going on with your mouth? It looks like you're talking out of one side of your mouth. You having a stroke?" I know some of you were concerned because I have been having some health issues this year, but I had a bout with Bell's palsy like over, golly, it's been a long time ago, and due to Lyme disease, and it jacked up the left side of my face. So sometimes I'm tired or I'm not feeling well. The left side of my face will kind of sad. I'm not having a stroke. Don't panic. Nobody send 911 to my house. Thank you. I appreciate you. So what's up, K-Spray? Welcome in. So, but yeah, Auburn's getting hit pretty hard. Red Morgan, yeah, recruiting Cam Coleman. Alabama doesn't need another wide receiver, but it would be dang nice to get a guy like Cam Coleman. You expect Alabama to probably lose some receivers in the portal when it opens in a couple of days, which folks were only it opens on the 2nd. So if Alabama loses the Rose Bowl, you can expect some injuries pretty quick, especially at the running back position. And I want to take my hat off and tip it. I'm not literally going to do that, but figuratively, I want to take my hat off and tip it to some of these media members that are in Pasadena. They're asking some tough questions of these kids. And Jeff and I touched on this a couple of weeks ago with Ryan Williams. I think now more than ever, it's okay to ask them the tough questions, especially some of them who are commanding millions and millions of dollars in NIL. And they're asking them, "Hey, what about next year? What are you looking at? Are you considering the transfer portal?" Surprisingly for Alabama, yes, some of the guys you've gotten that whole, "Hey, I'm just focused on the Rose Bowl right now," but a couple of fan favorites, you've gotten a pretty definitive no. Ryan Williams was one today. I forgot who asked him, but he basically said, "No, man, I'm Alabama through and through. No, portal's not for me." Keelan Russell, who everybody has been worried about with Alabama's quarterback luck and recruiting right now, has basically echoed the same sentiments. He's not going anywhere. So Bama's looking pretty good in terms of who they're going to keep. Again, retention. Courtney Morgan talked about that on signing day. He talked about that a lot. Retention is how Alabama uses its NIL primarily, as opposed to recruiting. Let the brand and the success and the showing on the field handle the recruiting. Use your NIL dollars to keep the talent, pay the talent that's playing on Saturdays, as opposed to folks who haven't played a snap in college yet. So we'll see what happens, but yeah, Alabama's going to lose some dudes. Sure. So is everybody. Video surfacing about Arch Manning in Tuscaloosa. We don't need Arch Manning in Tuscaloosa. What's up, Kevin James? I hope you're having a good day. Let's see what everybody's talking about. You guys are chatty tonight. You guys been in the booze early? Is that what's going on? Cat, they shouldn't. I haven't given up on Ryan Williams. There's a lot, our fan base. I'm pretty self-aware when it comes to Alabama's fan base. We can be pretty toxic. We have Lance, right? So, we could be a pretty toxic fan base. And, I said this in a video a couple of days ago. Everybody's going really, really hard at Ryan Williams because the expectations are through the roof, and we know what kind of money he's making at Alabama. But in doing so, they're kind of overlooking. It's been all the receivers, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs. There's been drops have been a problem team wide this year, not just Ryan Williams. He's definitely dropped some crucial ones in crucial moments. And But if, we kind of got to hold everybody the same standard there if they're supposed to be catching the football. Yeah, Mike, they do. They just lost to Illinois. SEC is not looking hot in bowl season so far. Not at all. It's a little concerning, to be honest. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a little bit when we get in the Rose Bowl preview. The rugby practice balls, that and the tennis balls, man. So, yeah, look, if you guys have been following the channel for a while, I did a video back in July suggesting that Ryan Williams likely was going to have a very rough outing. We hyped him up off of a couple of really big catches last year. They were really huge catches. We're talking Sports Center type catches. But outside of that, he was inconsistent towards the second half of last year. So I felt like it wasn't going to be improbable for him to have some struggles this year, and that's come to fruition. And Alabama fans have to keep believing. Sorry, Kat, I just saw your comment out of the corner of my eye. Alabama fans got to keep believing in this kid and support him, because at some point in time, and it could be on Thursday, he's going to come in clutch when Alabama needs him to. It's going to happen. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So, well, hurry up, Jeff. We're all waiting on you. Yeah, we are, Lance. I think we are overthinking how to catch. Looking at trying to catch up with comments. You're getting ahead of us. But yes, I did a video on this earlier today between I was talking about Fernando Mendoza and Ty Simpson. I highly suggest, I'm going to touch a little bit on it tonight when Jeff gets on. But when you're done tonight, if you're still wanting some Bama content to consume, it's on the channel. Go watch it. It's under the video section for 2025 Alabama football. It's there. There's some striking things that I kind of went through a breakdown. I looked at Ty Simpson versus the really good defenses and what you would call an elite defense that Alabama's played this year, and Fernando Mendoza versus the elite defenses that he's played this year. And it was a little eye-opening, to be honest. So go check that out when we're done here tonight. I promise you won't be sorry. But like I said, I am going to touch on it a little bit, so just hold tight. Not going anywhere. So, yeah, Lance, dude, I have a feeling that given the time, right? Again, we're getting into the Rose Bowl, but that's okay. Given the time that Indiana's had off, this is a huge factor that nobody's talking about right now. When we look at last year's playoff field, every team that had the bye week lost when they played. A certain amount of time off is a good thing to get healthy. Too much time off is detrimental to your cohesion and to that like fabric of the team. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen here, but it's going to take Indiana a little bit to kind of get their feet under them. Presumably, Ryan Williams, if he can set a tone early, this could be that game for him, man. Absolutely could be. Jeff, if you're still watching, I know you're on your way, but I want you to know that they called you powder, man. They called you powder. Now, okay, that's good. I had a feeling that was probably the case. I haven't kept track of Tennessee in the postseason. That's been the case with a lot of SEC squads. So that makes me feel a little bit better, just because the SEC has looked abysmal in bowl season so far. I will say I don't think bowl season is a proper metric anymore, or bowl success collectively is a proper metric for conference dominance anymore, just because of opt-outs and things like that. So, yeah. Okay. I'm not surprised. Not surprised. Cotton and powder. Interesting. I'm going to make Jeff change his little name. You can't see it because of the graphic, but mine says cotton right there. I'm going to make Jeff change his to powder. You should do that. I'm his boss, so just say it. Anyway, so guys, how are you feeling about this Rose Bowl? Before we get too far into the weeds on it, I want to see your comments. How are you feeling? I think that there's two different kind of fans here. There's fans that are wildly confident, which I appreciate. And then there's fans who are a little more realistic. He's coming, Jeremy. The powder man's coming. You guys are ridiculous. Waaaay Offsides powder. Cautiously optimistic. Okay. I like it. I get it. So Lance, I'm happy you said this because I think much like Vanderbilt, fans of college football are having trouble with this, are wrapping their head around the fact that Indiana is actually a good football team. And they are. They're well coached, they're disciplined, they're well prepared, they're balanced, they're efficient. They're all the things you want in a championship winning football team. And so, yeah, I think that Alabama fans are struggling with that. But especially when Alabama itself hasn't really been any of those things, especially the consistent part, right? Like Alabama this year has not been consistent. We all know how talented that roster is. We all know how good Alabama is on paper. They're the most talented roster in the country. That's not me just saying something. That's legitimate. That is when you look at player ratings, rankings, and all of that stuff. Alabama has the most talented roster in college football. It just hasn't clicked. The execution has been a huge problem. Injuries have been a huge problem this season. So there is a silent confidence that if Alabama comes out and plays as good as we know they can for 4 quarters, they're going to win this game. If I tell you this much, if it clicks, this is my take on it. I tweeted this earlier, and I fully expect to get just destroyed on socials if Indiana wins this daggum football game. But I said that if the offensive line gives Ty Simpson time and the defense gets a couple of takeaways, and it all clicks for 4 quarters, Alabama's going to go the entire way. There's not a person in this playoff field who I think can beat this Alabama team if they're playing their best football. Now, that includes the coaching staffs, too. The coaches got to be locked in. Ryan Grubb, Kane Womack. It's a huge if, big variable that we cannot control for. But we'll see what happens. They've had plenty of time to get in there and kind of get this thing figured out. So, hey, Herb and Raj, Roll Tide, welcome in. If you guys don't listen to Herb and Raj, you need to, especially over on TikTok. I was scrolling through TikTok 2 days ago, and I just randomly see a video of these two smoking liquor in their kitchen. I'm like, what are these guys doing? Yeah, setting stuff on fire in their kitchen. So definitely worth a follow if you haven't yet. It's fantastic stuff. But I see Andy B. Oregano, sorry. Smoking liquor, baby. That's a show segment, man. That's a show segment. Smoking liquor with Herb and Raj. All right, let's go through these comments, see what you're saying. I'm just stalling until Jeff gets here. I'm scared to change the graphics. I know I'm going to screw it up. So, schedule Indiana is played. All right, let's take we'll wait. I believe Indiana has the 28th strongest strength of record. Alabama has like the 6th. So I get that. I understand that, but I'm not willing to pick based off of that, because once that first drive happens, if Indiana goes down the field and scores on Alabama's defense the first drive of this game, the strength of record no longer matters because they're smacking you in the face currently, and vice versa, right? That applies both ways. So strength of record doesn't matter anymore because the two teams are going to play each other. So I'm trying to not lean into that too heavily. But when you really look at the quarterback comparisons, you start to see some trends and some things that really make you go, And you know what? I'm just going to do it. Let me get this off the screen for you guys so you can see better. See, this is why I need Jeff, but he'll be here in a minute. All right, let's make sure I click the right thing here. There we go. All right. This is your quarterback comparison. You got Ty Simpson, Fernando Mendoza. Obviously, Mendoza wins the Heisman Trophy, wins the Big Ten Championship. You can see a striking difference right off the bat there in total QBR. Ty Simpson has thrown for more yardage. Now, Ty Simpson has thrown the ball a lot more because Alabama is very one-dimensional. Ty has thrown for 28 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Mendoza's thrown for 33 and 6. Now, what makes Mendoza so dangerous is that Indiana is very balanced, right? They average about 221 yards per game on the ground. Even if it's not raining during the game, it is going to rain in Pasadena leading up to the game. Field conditions could be concerning. Tackling could be an issue. Indiana does what Alabama was doing about midseason, in that they try to control time of possession. They try to keep your offense off the field. So Alabama's going to have to tackle very, very, very well in this one. Now to the quarterbacks. In my video earlier, like I said, I'll touch on this a little bit. All right. What I saw was basically this, and we'll go over the entire thing. I've got it right here in the note, ready for you guys. So basically in a direct comparison of tough matchups, right? And this is efficiency, quarterback efficiency versus strong defenses. Mendoza versus top defenses that he's played that include Oregon, Ohio State, Wisconsin, trying to think of the other ones, Iowa, Penn State. Yeah, that's all of them. He is completing about 60% of his passes, right? Now, his touchdown to interception ratio in those games is 5-4. He is throwing the majority of his interceptions against the best defenses that he's played. Now, Alabama is a top 10 defense. They're probably going to be the best overall secondary that Indiana's going to see. Alabama doesn't have a pass rush that's super consistent. But now let's talk about Ty Simpson. Ty Simpson has been pretty solid to high, right? His touchdowns against top 30 defenses, he's thrown 19 to 2 interceptions against top 30 defenses. Now, this is obviously excluding the SEC championship, things like that. He's been very efficient with low turnovers against some of the better defenses in the conference. Now, how good is the SEC? That's the question. The SEC is getting boat race right now in bowl season, sometimes by Big Ten teams. So, that's kind of what we're looking at. So, let's see. I'm trying to bring this up. All right, Mendoza stats in these big games against Iowa, right? Threw the ball 23 times, completed 13 of those for about 57%. Threw for 233 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Against Oregon, threw the ball 31 times, completed 20 passes for about 65%, 215, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Against Penn State, did not have a great outing in that game. He went 19 for 30. He threw for 218, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Ohio State, 15 for 23. He about 65%, 220 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception in those games. Now, when we look at Ty Simpson and what he has done, he's played a lot better, right? He went off against Wisconsin, not even to go over those numbers. But against Georgia, he did not play well. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Now, this is the SEC championship game. Threw for 212 yards, 19 for 39 against Oklahoma in the college football playoff. Went for 232, 18 for 29, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Against LSU, threw 35 times for 277 yards. On the season, you see the season averages there. Mendoza has dominated many games in 2025. All right. He earned the Heisman Trophy Heisman Trophy. He earned National Player of the Year. But there is a case to be made that when he's facing elite defenses like Ohio State, Oregon, Penn State, or even Iowa, his numbers were more modest, right? They tend to decline. Lower yardage. He's got dips in efficiency, more turnovers relative to his, successful seasonal rates. Ty Simpson, on the other hand, has been a little bit more consistent and efficient when facing better defenses, especially if he gets to play them twice. Now, we throw that SEC championship game out here. Why? Because you had that offensive line was patchworked. Alabama's going to this game about as healthy as they've been. And so he's produced a pretty strong touchdown to interception ratio, sustained yardage, facing some of the best defenses and pass rushes in the entire country. So they're not exactly telling the entire story, I think, when we talk about Mendoza versus Simpson. So, but that's the thing. Yeah, Mike, you're right. That great comment, man. Because even when he was not playing his best against those good defenses, they still found ways to win football games. And that is what makes Indiana so scary. That's what makes them so good, is because they can either do just enough to beat you, or they can lean on that run game. They have a very good run game. They have a very, very good defense. Okay. So yes. You're right. You're right. Let's see what everybody else is saying. I didn't read any of your comments while I was going through all of that. So, I'll be there. I'll be there. You guys read that. Somebody screenshot it, post it all over social media. So when 217 people show up at their house, he's got no excuse. He can call the law all he wants, but we're going to be like, he invited us. Okay. So Roll Tide Tonight, how you doing? That's a fair point, Lance. Again, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds there. I agree with you. I do. But I'm trying to be cautious about this one because I do think Alabama matches up pretty well with this team. I've said it when we got the draw. If we could get past Oklahoma, I like the way Alabama matches up with Indiana. I like the only other team I don't necessarily like how they match up with is Oregon, but I like the way they match up with Texas Tech. And looking at the rest of the playoff field, the only other team I really would be concerned about their quarterback is probably Ole Miss because of the dual threat option. But yeah, I don't want to lean too much on the Big Ten. You know, they did play a weak schedule. We're talking Purdue, things like that. You know, Ty Simpson had one of his worst games interception-wise against Eastern Illinois. So that's kind of the point I'm trying to get at is when Ty Simpson has had to step up this year, he has. Now, also keep in mind that a lot of Simpson's yardage and things like that, a lot of his difficulties, yes, they're his fault at the end of the day. But when you have receivers consistently dropping balls in a game, it started in the FSU game early on in the season. It's going to set you back, right? It's going to set you back. It's going to cause trust issues when Alabama played some of the best pass rushers in the country the second half of the season, week in and week out. Ty was under constant pressure. I'm not making excuses for the poor decisions that he made. He shouldn't have made them. But you can easily understand why he did. Okay. Yes, that we were just talking about that. They are. But again, because of opt-outs, kids go ahead and saying, I'm jumping in the transfer. I mean, look, the college football calendar is a mess, right? The transfer portal opens in 2 days. Because of that, it's claiming conference superiority based off of bowl wins is a thing of the past. Like it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter. If that's the case, then the SEC shouldn't be in the college football playoff. Alabama should be out. Georgia should be out. Ole Miss should be out. You know, I just don't feel that way anymore. 10 years ago, sure, absolutely. Now, in saying that, I do think the Big Ten is getting better. I think they're getting better. I think their top teams have caught up with the SEC, and that a lot of that is due to transfer portal, NIL, things like that. So, the problem with this game in particular is Alabama being one-dimensional. He has played, they've asked him to do a lot all season long. They've asked Ty Simpson to do a ton. Jeff, are you ready back there? Okay. Oh, man, I was drowning.
Yeah, I know. I just adjusted this group layout. Not sure why that changed, but okay.
You can only see half of me. If I do this, we're fine.
Y'all give me a second here. I just did all this before I gave the thumbs up. And then I clicked save and it went back to the old thing. So,
oh my gosh, the chat's popping off of powder, brother.
Let's see. Dude. How many? Oh my gosh.
Right. You take your time. The chat's having a blast, man. Take all the time you need. There we go.
There we go.
Chat's having a blast.
All right.
Oh,
yes, my skin was bright that night.
Just that night?
Yeah, it don't look that bright right now.
Could there be another reason they call you powder there, Jeff?
Maybe about 12 years ago. I mean, hey, is this thing on?
What?
Hang on. Whoa. What just happened?
Good stuff. Kevin Fleming, we want Bama. You're going to get him. We'll see how it goes, man. Look, here's my thing.
You saw Jeff from the space station. Y'all savage.
Just kidding you, man. But Jesus. I don't know. How do we get back on track?
So Michael's not going to be able to stick with it.
Okay, guys. All right. Enough. Let's talk football. Okay. All right.
There we go.
Look, here's the thing, and I've seen Alabama fans, I've seen Indiana fans on social media this week trying to manufacture hate against each other. But I think the majority of Alabama fans probably have a healthy respect for this Indiana team if they've watched them. The ones that have gotten over the fact that it's Indiana. Jeff, am I wrong here?
No, you're not wrong. I have not watched much of Indiana, but then again, I don't watch much of anything outside of the SEC.
Okay.
But that's just a personal thing. I like watching, fast football. I like watching slow football, and that's what it feels like watching Big 10, Big 12 schools. But I digress. But I think you're right. I think there's a healthy respect for them.
Yeah.
But they beat Ohio State, and that's really everybody keeps going back to that win, which is an impressive win. Yeah. Sure. But what I think the biggest factor is going to be is the layoff. Is them having a month where they hadn't played competitive football. You can't simulate 48 minutes of facing Alabama in a playoff game in practice. You can't do it.
Yeah, and this Alabama team may not be as physical as it was 15 years ago, but this defense is still pretty physical. They're still going to hit you. And from what I've seen, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but from what I've seen of Fernando Mendoza, he's not mobile. So if they're able to tee off on this guy and get to him, which is, I know, dude, I'm trying so hard.
Oh my God, y'all trying to derail the
show. if they're able to tee off on this guy and get to him and bring pressure, that's why this is my biggest key of the game for Alabama is pressure. Who knows what's going to happen, man? If he's going to fold, what the deal's going to be here. But I do have a ton of respect for Indiana. I like Kurt Cignetti. I like Kurt Cignetti's style. He's a little cocky and weird, but I like his style. And I don't want to take anything away from what they've done. They've had a great season. Do I think this is one of the best college football teams of all time? No. But do I think Alabama can win this football game, Jeff?
No, you picked Indiana in the group text.
That's not true. Stop. Stop telling lies, Jeff.
Anyway, I'm kidding. Yes, we can win the game. We're going to win the game 24-23.
How do they win the game, Jeff? I know score more points, but
yeah, they'll have one more point in the end. That's the main reason they're going to do to win the game. I think defensively, I this is no disrespect to Indiana. This is more respect to Alabama. I don't know that Indiana's faced a relentless pass rush that they may see Saturday. All depends on which strategy we come in there with. If we go the last three quarters of Oklahoma, where we were just blitzing all night and just running Mateer into the ground, he had nothing. Once we started blitzing, then we didn't blitz that one series, and he scored a touchdown in 4 plays. Then we went back to blitzing, and he had nothing for it. Now Mendoza's probably a better passer than Mateer is, maybe a smidge. But I don't know. I don't know that. Yes, that's true, Lance. I don't know that that he's ever faced what he's going to face Saturday. I'm not saying that he's never faced a juggernaut like Alabama. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying he's never faced a playoff atmosphere and then 4 quarters of the relentless pressure that Alabama's going to put on him, and they haven't played a meaningful game in a month. That will be a factor. Not saying that that's why we're going to win, but I'm saying that's going to be a factor where we've been playing for our life for 3 weeks.
Yeah. I talked about this earlier this week in a video. Yeah. Alabama's got to drop the zone schemes.
Right.
With the zone stuff, Bama struggles to get pressure. Mendoza's really good at finding the soft spots in those zones. And he's going to be able to sit back there and pick it apart. So yeah, they're going to have to play some man. Not to say that Indiana doesn't have good wide receivers. They certainly do. But this isn't a SEC type group. Now, on the other side, something that nobody's talking about, this is a really good Indiana defense. This is a top 5, I think, Indiana defense, and Alabama can't run the ball, or that's at least what they say. Now, Jim Miller got in front of the media this week and said, "Hey, look, I'm finally 100% healthy." Kalen DeBoer discussed the team's health. You could tell he had a smile on his face, discussing like this is as healthy as we've been. And that includes the start of the season. Injuries were decimating this team in fall camp. I think Alabama might be able to find something on the ground here. I do. I said it after the Oklahoma game. They did not run for a lot, but there were some things that popped, especially with Daniel Hill, kind of getting north-south, falling forward, those kind of things, getting those extra yards after contact. Indiana's defensive front is built for speed. Not to say there's no power there, but they're fast.
Well, can Grubb devise something to counter that?
Well, that's the question of the day.
Yeah, that's the big question. You're right.
Yeah, that is the question of the day. These are speed rushers, which means the tackles are going to have their hands full. And we've seen speed rushers give Alabama hell this year.
Yes, they have.
You know, they're edge rushers. They win with quickness, penetration, not necessarily anchoring, things like that. And their interior D line is pretty good too. They're to be respected. They move vertically, especially facing double teams, things like that. They've shown some vulnerability, in my opinion, just looking back on them. I went back to watch a couple games in gap run schemes, downhill concepts, duos, counter, that kind of stuff. So I feel like Daniel Hill's got to be the back that Bama goes with and sticks with. And I think you probably agree with me, but I wanted to get your thoughts on that versus starting Jam Miller.
Daniel Hill is clearly the better running back. Now that Jam's healthy, he says for the first time. I've been hard on Jam this year. I'm not going to lie. I've been very tough on him. But I'll give him his due when it's due. And he was looking pretty good when he got knocked out in that Missouri game. He was running the ball pretty well. I'm not saying that he was going to continue running that way once we got into these tough defenses that we faced after that. But he was running the ball well. It was after that he was terrible, like just terrible to the point where I'm like, you can't keep playing this guy. He's a detriment to the season. He's going to cost us the season if we keep wasting 10, 12 downs handing this guy the football. He had multiple games where he averaged less than 2 yards a carry. That's a fireable offense. If you were that poor at your job over that amount of time, you would be fired. But I'm not saying they should cut him. You know what I'm saying, though. But now that he's healthy, I guarantee you he's going to get 10 touches or 10, 12, 15 carries or whatever. And if it's more the river dance, run the ball into the guard's butthole, then it's not conducive to winning football. Having your worst running back getting the most carries every week is not conducive to winning football.
Yeah,
we found something with Daniel Hill. He's got flaws in his running. There's flaws there, but he's the only downhill runner that we've really seen because since Riley broke his jaw, he's been out of the mix. Richard Young hadn't gotten a carry since week 2. A.K. Deere, they just refused to play him. There's gaps in his game somewhere where they're like, even his explosive potential's not good enough to overshadow or overwrite whatever he's lacking in.
That's fair, and that's why I wanted to get your thoughts, because I feel like Daniel Hill is he's definitely the option, right? Like he's the guy that you want to go with. And we saw it when Jam Miller got back healthy in the Iron Bowl. He looked like himself for a while. But in the SEC, or not the SEC championship game, in the Oklahoma game, he looked back to, just cutting right into the guards, and it was awful. And so those downhill concepts, that's what I feel like. I really do feel like if they can get some of that going early, maybe that requires kind of going quick like they did against Oklahoma with that little sugar huddle they were doing, getting some things working on the ground. Yeah, it's gonna take some time or some of the edge off of Ty Simpson. Now, Alabama's offensive line they do have a size advantage here, and they have an experience advantage. None of those things have clicked this year, right? The bigger interior linemen are, they're supposed to excel at double teams and combo blocks. We've seen a lot of that communication fall apart across the offensive line. It did look better after the first quarter of the Oklahoma game. Do you think something changed? Do you feel confident that something changed?
Maybe. The performance was certainly better, so you can't deny the results were definitely better. We're going to have some help at running back. Hill's obviously the man, but I don't think his stamina, he can carry it, 20 times a game. I don't think that he can hold up for 4 quarters if he's getting the ball that many times. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's never been given that chance first. But there's a reason he hasn't been given that many touches either. And I think it could be possibly a stamina thing. So,
Okay.
but we'll see. I mean, the shifting of the line, still here, 14 games into the season is maddening. It feels like at this point, could we not find the 5 best linemen and roll with them? But
I think injuries had a lot to do with that too.
I think you're right about that. Everybody wants Roberts to play, but there's a reason Roberts isn't playing. If he was the best lineman, I think he would play unless I don't know. Formby was terrible for 5-6 games, never came off the field. I couldn't explain it. And Carroll's not really playing his natural position. I think he's a guard. I think we recruited him as a guard. So I don't know that there was a different scheme, but they were more effective. I don't know. The running plays didn't look any more creative. They just had a seam and got it. So
I think some of it was like we said, the sugar huddle, and then Alabama used a lot more pre-snap looks. They were doing a lot of motion. I think they were confusing Oklahoma. I really think that if they copy and paste a lot of that second half game plan against Oklahoma in this game, they'll find some success if they do a lot of the same things.
I agree.
I do think that because of that, and with the threat of Ty Simpson, like Indiana's linebackers, they're not super aggressive with their linebackers, but their linebackers, much like their edges, are fast.
Yeah.
Right? they react really well. They trigger downhill pretty quick. They attack gaps. They're very disciplined in their gap integrity. So if Alabama can use some of that pre-snap stuff, misdirection, things like that, like they did against Oklahoma, I do think that they'll find some success on the ground. We've already heard Indiana players discussing the Ty Simpson's legs and how that's something that they've got to account for. So use it, man. It's you lose, you're going home at this point. So use it. But I think to your point, Jeff, I like the fact, and I think this is a huge advantage for Alabama going into this that really nobody's talking about except for us, is that time off. That time off. That
big
we
factor.
We saw it play out last season. Every team that had a bye week in the first round of the college football playoff lost when they played, and it had to be. I mean, that's not a coincidence. And so how will that impact Indiana in the Rose Bowl? We'll find out tomorrow. Let's see what Ohio State looks like. And if it's a very similar as last year, I might feel a little bit more confident coming out of that Miami-Ohio State game.
Yeah, so I agree.
I think Bama has an advantage right there. I do.
And this isn't the biggest. This isn't. I mean, in terms of what's at stake, But I mean, this isn't. Would you consider this the biggest game we've played this year?
No.
Right.
The Iron Bowl was the biggest game we played this year because they had to win it on the road.
Bingo.
Yeah.
On 100%. The road in the Voodoo House at night.
That was the biggest game Alabama played.
Thank you. So
Georgia and Athens. Those
to me, this Alabama team is battle tested. A little more than Indiana. Once again, this isn't disrespect to Indiana. This is more respect to Alabama and the path we've taken to get here. Yeah, we got 3 losses. So be it. One of those, we just got fed to the wolves. We had a third of a team basically and just got fed to slaughter in that SEC championship game. We were never going to win that game for 1 second. So this team's battle tested though, and they're getting healthy. We've got some depth back, and like I said, going out to Pasadena to play in a big game. DeBoer's done that before. He's gone out there and won a big game before as a heavy underdog with a team with a third of the talent.
Yeah,
that year he went out there at Fresno State and beat UCLA.
Yeah. Hey, this team's comfortable on the West Coast. The coaching staff, there's a ton of dudes playing on this team that are from Washington, Cali, Oregon, things like that. So this team's comfortable over there. Don't know how much of an impact that's going to have on the game, but maybe they're not wowed by the lights in LA and things. But
great question, Tobias.
No, absolutely not.
No.
We talked about that before you jumped on, Jeff. We were kind of talking about the discrepancy in who Fernando Mendoza. I'll jump right back into that because I actually kind of want to get your thoughts on that. So I did a video earlier today and kind of broke down Ty Simpson and Mendoza against the best defenses that they played. And the interesting trend here is that on average now, when Mendoza is playing teams like Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State, He's definitely struggled. He's struggled. He's thrown interceptions in those games. In fact, the top 4 defenses that he played, he threw a pick in those games. He threw 2 touchdowns against Iowa. He only threw 1 against Oregon, Penn State, Ohio State. Now, what we saw taking the SEC championship out of the equation, on the other hand, is Ty Simpson actually played better against the defenses that he played in the regular season, even against Oklahoma, minus the pick 6 that he threw. So something to keep an eye on. Now, the difference with that is IU can beat you on the ground. Right. Mm-hmm. This team can run the daggum football. They can run it way better than Alabama can. I'm not ashamed to say that out loud. If you don't like it, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Alabama is like 110th nationally running the ball this year. Indiana's way up there. They're averaging like 221 yards on the ground per game. So, you got to shut both things down.
Pierre's going to have a big impact on this game as well. But I think Tim Keenan and LT back in the mix are going to have a big impact on Indiana's ability to run the ball. We've been gashed before. As good as this defense has played this year, there's been about once a game, it feels like, where somebody picks the wrong gap and the running back slips through and runs 40, 50 yards.
Yeah, that's going to happen in this game. Yeah,
and it feels like that will happen. But if you look at the rest of it, we've been pretty solid stopping the run. In my opinion, and getting players back a little more healthy. Getting Rousseau back a few weeks ago, he's now a little bit more healthier than he was. He's now had 12 days to rest that foot. Cuevas with a broken foot, for crying out loud. We just thought it was a foot injury, and it broke his dang foot.
Yeah, wild. I want to go back to this defense conversation we're having. So, Indiana, Iowa, final score 20-15. 1 touchdown, 1 interception thrown. Indiana, Penn State, 27-24. 1 touchdown, I believe. 1 interception.
That was late.
Thrown.
They beat Penn State late. They had to score late in that game to win that
Indiana,
game.
Oregon, 30-20. 1 touchdown. Looks like maybe 2 touchdowns here. Let's see.
Same Oregon team that just gave up 35 to James Madison.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And then Indiana, Ohio State, 13-10. So low-scoring ball games against these good defenses, like you would expect. But the difference is they won all of them. Okay,
they did.
I don't want to take that off the table. Yes, is it a point and a possible advantage for Alabama? Sure, but I don't want to lose sight of the fact that you don't want to underestimate this team and go in there going, well, they don't play. Mendoza is overrated because he's only done this much against these defenses, and then him come out and hang 400 on you. It's I'm not saying that's going to happen, but I'm just saying toe the line until we see what happens in the game.
Yeah. And I think I saw this earlier in the chat. Like, we can play man to man with these guys. We've got the talent in the secondary to man up to these guys. We don't have to play a lot of zone. At least we shouldn't have to play a lot of zone. So I don't think we need to get zone happy. We can play man to man defense against this team. Not saying that we're going to stop every pass, but I like our chances better there and pressuring Mendoza into making a mistake. I think he's going to, he's only had 5 turnovers all year or something like that. Mendoza has. I think we're going to pressure him into at least 1 turnover, maybe 2. I think we're going to get at least 1 turnover from him. We're going to pressure him into at least 1 turnover.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I think this is going to be a very competitive game. And I think if Alabama plays the best game they've played all year, and mind you, what I mean by that is everything clicks. Right, they play a complete football game. They don't have to go out and put up 450 yards of offense to beat this team. Mm-mm. I'm just saying that if they play complementary football, if they put Ty Simpson in situations where he can convert on 3rd down, if they can pressure Fernando Mendoza, and if they get a single takeaway, Alabama wins this game probably 28-21.
I could see that.
That's my thought.
See that. Now, Indiana ain't got misfits. Y'all are ragging on your own team in the chat here. Indiana ain't got misfits. I just think that we can play man-to-man with anybody. We've faced plenty good receivers this year. We can play man-to-man with anybody.
Yeah.
But like I said, we may get burned. We may man up, and they may beat us over the top. They may get us. I mean, that's that's possible too.
Yeah, that's what Sco's saying. They're confident that Indiana's wide receivers will be a problem for Alabama.
They may be.
You might absolutely 100% be right. You know, we got a true freshman corner over there who's been playing all year. Xavier Brown's been playing fantastic, but there's been bust in Alabama secondary all year. And so again, that's why I said that they will have to really get pressure on Fernando Mendoza. It doesn't matter if they're in man or zone. If they let that kid sit back there, he's going to pick them apart. He is good enough he just won the Heisman Trophy. He's good enough to do that. Pressure is going to be huge. Yanze Pierre is going to be huge in this game. Getting LT Overton back in this game will be very, very big for Alabama. And then Josh Cuevas playing on the other, that safety net will be very good. And I would not be surprised to see somebody like Ryan Williams finally have that game that everybody's been waiting on, or the wide receivers to just kind of step it up. Maybe that Oklahoma win is a little bit of a confidence builder. And then again, Indiana's coming off of 3 weeks without football. Bama just played a game right before Christmas. So
this is a funny comment here. Be happy, but you also deserve to be there. You belong there this year. This isn't, oh man, we're here. Just be happy. Y'all have earned this ranking and the top ranking and to be the 1 seed, and you should be confident.
Yeah, I don't know. I've got nothing but respect for this team. Damani Jackson makes me nervous. Not gonna lie, Kat. I just saw that name. I've got nothing but respect for this team, this Indiana team, and Alabama fans that are sitting there trashing Indiana online. They're either not serious or they're just trying to get under your skin. Of course, I'm going to pick Alabama to win this game. I'm an Alabama fan. I think that if Alabama comes out and does what it did, I don't know, against South Carolina on the road, they're going to lose this football game. If they come out and play like they did in the Iron Bowl in the second half of that game, they're going to lose this football game. I think Alabama has the pieces there. I think that Alabama has depth that'll show up late in the third quarter, fourth quarter. I think that depth has showed up a couple times this year. They don't have a ton of it because nobody does anymore, but Alabama's just kind of been building this thing longer than Indiana has. So there's more talent on the roster overall. That's not a knock at Indiana. It's just because of who Alabama's been for so long and who Indiana is becoming. So, but I again, like I said, I want to preface, I have nothing but respect for Kurt Cignetti. I think the dude's funny. I think he's one of those characters that's really good for college football. Les Miles type guy, Lane Kiffin type guy with his, very unique. But I'm picking the Tide, man. 28-21, Alabama.
And this isn't going to be the last time we're talking about Indiana either. This isn't a 2-year window and then you never hear from them again. This team is going to be in the mix. As long as Sig is the coach, they're going to be a threat. So we need to get used to seeing Indiana in these discussions.
Sure, absolutely. As long as Cignetti's there, they're going to. They're going to. But I just think that there's some things that aren't being talked about that could bode as an advantage for Alabama, and I just think they need to be discussed before we're going into the game. So.
Experience, Chuck. We may not have many stat sheet facts, but West Coast big games aren't a thing. This is just another big game.
I have this. So let me I'll show you. This is thanks to Clint Lamb over at Cover Crimson. So yes, Indiana does lead in most statistical categories here. You can see it. They're highlighted in green. Points in game. Alabama is allowing, they complete more passing yards per game, but not by much. It's a very thin margin. And they allow less passing yards per game. Again, a very thin margin. Now, what we're discussing here is level of play. It's something that has to be considered, but I'm not willing to make a pick off of it. Right. I'm making my pick off a little bit of bias in the fact that Alabama has been probably the most resilient football team I've seen all year, outside of maybe Georgia, who, if they're not playing Alabama, they're, that whole hard to kill thing that Oklahoma tried to rip off of them. It really belongs to the Georgia Bulldogs. But they truly are. They're the Michael Myers of college football. But there are some things that I think are misleading about these stats. that I think will show up in the game, and some of them are in Alabama's favor. Not all of them. There are absolutely things that Indiana does much better than Alabama, and I started off the show talking about those. So when you get a chance, make sure you go give it a listen. But all right, let's pull that down. Jeff, can you put us back?
I think we're winning the game 24-23. I think that's what.
Yeah, I'm going to say 28-21. It's going to be. Now, what about Ole Miss, Georgia, Jeff?
Georgia.
I'm taking Ole Miss, man.
I don't think there's any way, a chance in hell, Pete Golding beats Kirby Smart in a playoff game.
That 3-week bye, man. Just saying.
I could be wrong, but I just can't. I can't with a good conscience.
Now, tomorrow night's game, you got Miami, Ohio State. I believe they're playing in the Cotton Bowl.
This one's
Georgia,
easy.
Ole Miss will be in the Sugar Bowl. You're picking Ohio State, right?
Yeah,
me too.
You're going to trust Carson Beck? Okay.
Yeah. Give me Ohio State. I do want Miami to win it just so I can get that Carson Beck Georgia matchup.
That would be funny, but there's no way Carson Beck is beating Ohio State.
No. All right, and then lastly, you've got Oregon, Texas Tech. I'm going with the Red Raiders.
The Red Raiders. Yeah, I like Texas Tech in this game. I like Texas Tech in this game.
Fantastic. All right, Jeff.
Jake Bank had Bama, UGA, Texas Tech, and Miami. I'm good with. I like those except Miami. I think Ohio State beats Miami because of the Carson Beck factor.
I think you're right, Keith. I think that they are. I think they're the Cinderella story of the playoff, and I'm not gonna complain if Ole Miss goes and wins this whole thing. I'm really not. I won't complain if they win the whole thing.
I won't complain loudly.
I won't complain if or if Indiana wins the whole thing. I'll be pissed off if Georgia, Ohio State, or Oregon win it. Which
get ready.
One of those three teams. I know.
Oregon's not winning it, but get ready to be pissed.
I know.
I hope you're not, but just prepare yourself to be pissed. However, that Miami, Georgia, that would be intriguing. That would be an intriguing matchup. And then talk about Kirby licking his chops. He was like, man, I busted this guy in practice for 3 years.
Yeah.
I know exactly what to do with this cat.
About to take it to him, man. About to take it to him. Texas Tech does look strong. But there's also questions about level of competition with Texas Tech as well. So, all right. Well, that's going to be about it, man. Jeff, we're not doing a live, our regular live on Thursday night, right? We're going to do a post game, correct?
Right. We're doing post game. 7:00 is what the tentative broadcast schedule is, but we'll go live when the game ends.
Okay.
But yes, that will be Thursday around 7 because the game's at 3 Central Time. So games last about 3.5, 4 hours. So we're looking, tentatively around 7 Thursday.
Okay.
For the post game show.
Okay.
I think that's all we're doing Thursday. We may. I was thinking about this earlier. Depending on how that Miami Ohio State game plays out tomorrow night, if something crazy happens, we may hop on for a little post game reaction, depending on how that game goes. If it's a blowout and boring, no big deal. But if something crazy happens and it's wild, I'll probably hop in here for whoever else wants to come in here just to get the pulse of how people feeling about what they just saw.
Sounds like a good time.
Playoff games.
For those of you who want to watch the video, this is the thumbnail for it. You can go check that out on the channel. This is the QB comparison video I did earlier today. It actually goes pretty in depth about what we're talking about. Yeah, I think you'll like it.
Very informative.
Yeah. And for the rest of you, for the 300 in you, if you're not subscribed, I don't know what you're doing with your life. Go ahead and do it, please. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button. It's free to you. Keeps the channel free. For those of you who want to become a Waaaay Offsides insider, the link is in the chat.
Please do.
Please do. Helps us out. Helps everybody out. You guys have been fantastic. Jeff did a video, but we did hit 6,000. We're well on our way to 7.
Thank y'all so much. We can't thank you enough for that. I tried to express it in that short, but we can't thank y'all enough for the follows, the subscribes, the interactions on Twitter, the interactions in the chat. Michael and I, or Cotton and I, look really forward to this every week. We talk about it during the day leading up to it. We'll be texting back and forth ideas, or, man, I wonder what Lance is going to say about this or something. all the time. So we thank y'all so much. We can't thank y'all enough for coming on here and making fun of me and making fun of Michael and making fun of Bill and having fun with us and keeping it lighthearted and loving the Tide, which is what we're here for.
Yeah, it's your show, guys.
It's y'all's show.
There's a lot coming up. Yeah, I'm from. Well, no, I'm not from the Gump. I'm from Northeast Alabama. I don't live there anymore, Gatesman, but I'm from Northeast Alabama.
John, I'm not from the Gump, but I've lived in the Gump since 1992. So technically, I've lived over half my life in the Gump. So I would say I'm Gump certified.
You are. And we'll get Bill back on for you soon. He's just old and goes to bed early. So you guys know.
Well,
that.
Bill was out for a year plus. And so, when you're gone for a year, sometimes you don't just hop right back into routine. I would imagine it probably takes a little time to get things lined up and holidays, traveling and all this stuff. Yeah. So,
playing Captain America. So, hey, Jeff, we got a new member. Can you get some applause for Kevin James?
Oh, we do have a new member. Let me get there. Sorry, I'm reading the chat. So, yes, here we go.
Kevin or Kevin?
Yeah, thank you again. Thank you again.
So, outstanding. Happy to have you along.
The new member gong.
Happy to have you along for the ride with us. Guys, look, transfer portal's about to open. It's going to get mad. Mr. Portal will be on the show.
Portal. It's nuts. Y'all remember when Bama got their roster pillaged for a month where everybody could just come cherry pick, and then then right after that, they said, this rule kind of sucks. Let's change it.
Yep.
Kind of funny how the timing of that. Once Bama got their roster pillaged, then we'll change the rule.
Keith. We'll tell him. We'll tell him. So we'll tell him. I'm going to take a picture of that
expression.
That's good.
There you go, Dent. Just a Portland.
Yeah, it's going to be fun, man.
Portland. Like John Anderson.
Yeah, if you guys don't like Mr. Portal, if you don't know who Mr. Portal is, he's a good time. And he'll be on the show.
He's a good time.
Probably in the next week or so. So you're not going to want to miss out.
It's going to be busy.
Yeah, it is. Good Lord. In more ways than one, man. More ways than one.
It's going to be savage.
Yeah, I think
there's going to be names in that portal that you'll be shocked.
There's already over 1,300 players who have filed their intention to enter the portal. Isn't that nuts, man? Only about 30% of them are going to get picked up too.
This can be sustainable, right? This can't sustain.
It's not. It's
There's nobody that can do anything about it. Like Nick Saban's the only one that could save it, and they'll never give him the power. So it's like I'm terrified of where this chaos is heading with no leadership or no direction.
What did Doc Holliday say with the buy? He says, and it's legal now. We're in the Wild West, baby. We're learning as we go.
Let us know how this conversation goes, Tobias, when you do this.
Yeah. Hey, you know what?
I'll record it,
or you could just do it live on the show. To make her watch the show, we'll bring you on. I'll send you the link. You can do it live on the show.
Oh, we got another new member.
Oh my goodness!
That would be Carol, my beautiful mother. So thanks, Mom, for becoming a member.
Hey, we talk about you a lot. I've heard a lot about you. All great things, I promise.
So thanks, Mom, for joining.
Thanks. Fantastic.
That's why we got to keep it clean, because you never know when my mom might be listening.
Yeah, guys. Yeah. Sorry, Mom.
So thanks, Mom, for keeping me clean.
Mama Q up in the chat. Fantastic.
That's it.
All right, we'll go ahead and wrap her up, guys. As always, you know the drill. We'll see you Thursday after the Rose Bowl. Please, if you haven't yet tonight, take a time to hug your family. Make sure you wash your hands, read your Bible, say your prayers. Horns down. Beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too.
And Indiana.
Let's go win a Rose Bowl, boys and girls. Roll Tide.
Rolleth.